Hey everyone, you're listening to InfoQuench with Jeff
and Amy,
a podcast with tips to make your life easier.
Covering pop culture, parenting, travel, minimalism, and more.
Hey everybody, and welcome to InfoQuench. I'm Jeff.
And I'm Amy.
And this podcast, we're going to be talking about the secrets of reality programming.
Right, we talked about reality TV on another episode, and this is Drop the Guilt of Reality TV Part 2.
Yeah, so if you're feeling like, whoa, should I be watching this episode of Cops or this 67th episode of Cops? Don't worry, just go for it.
Yeah, we got you covered.
We got you covered.
The guilt.
We got you covered because, you know what? I will openly confess that I was not a fan of reality programming. Period. Until that's not entirely true because I did watch Survivor and I thought this is really interesting, but reality programming in general, I just was not on board with. But I have since kind of looked at it as a sociological experiment that I watch. I'm God.
Well, and I think I think a lot of people are closet watchers of reality TV. They're just, a lot of people are embarrassed to admit it.
Right.
But after we did the first episode, I know we talked to a few people, and I think some people kind of came out of the shadows and said, "Yes, I too watch reality TV and I like it."
I think,
and that's a good thing.
I think one of the things that we should really hammer down at the beginning of this podcast is what truly is the draw of reality programming. Why do people like it? Why?
I don't know. Maybe it's a voyeurism.
Yeah, people like to see other people suffer and do really well. Sometimes in the same program.
Yeah, that's the great thing. They can cover it all. Throw in a few drinks and they throw in a little extra drama. There's
so many different forms of reality programming that you're bound to find one that really kind of, fits with your personality or what you really enjoy watching.
And whether, you are a reality TV watcher or not, we're hoping you're going to find this episode interesting because we're going to talk about some maybe little known secrets. Maybe there's some things you know already, but I did some research and I found some interesting facts around
research?
I know, around reality TV.
That's incredible.
So did you know that Candid Camera, which came out in
1940s? Yeah.
1948.
1948.
Was considered...
Alan Funt was the name of the guy. Sorry, go ahead. He's the name of the guy.
What was the last name?
Alan Funt.
Funt?
Yeah, I think that was his name. Maybe maybe I have it incorrect, but I will do some research myself.
Follow you next Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was widely considered as one of the first reality TV shows, Candid Camera. But it wasn't until Cops came out that I think more of what we consider reality TV today was, it was more of the true reality TV. So
right.
As camcorders sort of started to come out and it was easier to film and make, footage of real life situations, they developed the film style of cinéma vérité, which is like truthful cinema.
So the modern day Candid Camera would be just for laughs or impractical jokers, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting? How that whole concept has never, once it was created, it never went away.
Did you throw out those examples because you thought maybe other people would know what Candid Camera was because we're so old?
Oh yeah,
we are kind of old.
We are kind of old, but that's okay. I mean, you can look up Candid Camera episodes on YouTube.
Candid Camera is
Kids, you know what YouTube is, right? Just go on YouTube and type in Candid Camera, and you'll watch something in black and white from the 40s. It's amazing. There was no color then.
People didn't even know they were being filmed.
Yeah.
So, back to Cops. Yeah. So what it actually was brought about. I don't know if you remember. I remember this as a kid when the writers' strike came on.
Oh yeah.
So in 1988 there was the Writers Guild of America went on strike, and it put a halt to a lot of what we knew are sitcoms and regular television shows. So Fox Network developed Cops, as a way to sort of fill the gap during that strike.
Is that why
Cops started in the following year in '89?
That's interesting because I would say that Cops has amongst one of the in number of programs, they must be really up there.
They're actually the longest running.
Wow.
For reality TV.
More than Survivor even.
Yeah.
I wonder how far past Cops came, like when Survivor came onto the scene, you know?
Well, now you're just quizzing me.
Oh, I know.
I got a cool little musical fact around Cops, though. So Cops has a theme song, and the theme song was written by...
I know who it is.
Oh,
I know who it is.
Okay, who is it?
Inner Circle.
Yes. Which are apparently reggae veterans.
They are.
Is how they were
Roots
categorized.
Reggae.
So that song was originally released in 87, but it didn't get a lot of airplay. And so it was Cops that really made it a hit. So after Cops came out and used it as their theme song, they re-released Bad Boys as a single, and it became a top 10 hit.
Oh, isn't that interesting? And I forget who it is that did the song for Friends. And I'm sure they became quite popular after that as well. And same with... what's that? The 70s Show. I was actually going to say, what's that 70s show called again? And it's called The 70s Show. I never watched it, but you know.
Oh, it was a great show.
But that's a great theme song by Big Star.
Okay.
I don't know if it was them that actually did it, but it's their tune.
You know something else about that 70s show?
What's that?
It wasn't a reality TV show.
No, it's true. It wasn't.
So back to some secrets of reality
actual
TV show.
Reality TV show.
I want to give a quick shout out to Jay and Dawn.
Yes, Jay and Dawn in Nova Scotia.
Yes, who are we share a mutual love for Bachelor in Paradise.
One particular, reality
So anybody
show.
who's watched The Bachelor and Bachelorette probably also appreciates Bachelor in Paradises, which with all the people who don't really make the cut on the first two shows.
It's like the rejects from The Bachelor.
They
right?
send them down to some place in Mexico and put them all together and just let the drama unfold. So
I remember one episode where a teddy bear was thrown into the ocean.
yes,
That just cracked me up.
Jordan with the golden shorts.
That is the peak of drama when it comes to reality programming.
Jordan was originally on Becca's Bachelorette season. So Becca was a Bachelorette in a season. And I listened to her on a podcast, and she gave away some of the secrets of being on a reality TV show because she obviously she went through the whole Bachelorette experience. She said that the filming was just brutal.
Yeah.
They are
I can
filming
imagine.
like, from the early morning hours till,
They have to get every shot perfectly.
Oh,
right?
they do, and they often will refilm things. They,
those pensive moments when they're looking out into the ocean, like through a window, that's completely staged for hours. Probably they're setting up cameras and everything.
Yeah, definitely. She said they take away their phones because they don't want them to be, kind of giving any spoilers out or having any communication, communication with.
Which makes sense because you don't want them to.
Yeah, they can't be on social media. Well, that's right, because there's certain bloggers. Reality Steve is one of them that he makes it a quest to sort of find shots of them filming, and they'll they try to almost release spoilers for, particularly I think on the Bachelor Bachelorette shows. But another thing that Becca mentioned in the podcast was that they have had to set drink limits, so they have like a 2-drink limit on.
But why are they always wasted then?
Well, some of the Bravo shows, it's interesting. I think that's specifically more for the whole Bachelor, Bachelorette, and Bachelor in Paradise.
But the housewives get to get wrecked.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the reason
makes sense.
I think there was an incident on Bachelor in Paradise, some like sexual misconduct, accusations or something like that brought about the drink limit for them. Now, Bravo, a lot of the stars of the Bravo shows have said that they are encouraged to drink because the producers know it brings out better footage, right? They let their guard down and they...
Which I have a little bit of a problem with, to be honest, because it's have a drink, honey. Have a drink of your Aperol. No, but what is that really, promoting? It's promoting drinking and, drama. And it's just, I don't know. I know it makes for great television.
Hey, they all know what they're signing up for.
I know, but
and they're rich because of it. Nobody's forcing people to be on reality TV shows.
But the thing is, though,
cops are kind of forced to be on it.
They go over the line, though. So where's the line? Okay, so you people are on this show, on this reality show for our entertainment. Where does entertainment become really like alcoholism? Because it really does go there. Because we're watching this one show where one of the characters is like, in rehab all the time and stuff. Like,
Well,
I'm sure they're always all in rehab.
You're referring to Luann on
I am.
on Real Housewives of New York.
That's her name. That's
Yes,
right.
who was also arrested in Palm
Yeah.
Beach for assaulting an officer.
She was just recently, charged with a breach for her probation as well.
Oh,
Came up in my Google.
Google alerts.
Google
Keeping
alerts.
you up to date on the housewives. Oh yes. This is an interesting term that I read about in the research. So often when we see, and I've noticed this, they'll show sort of a little clip or preview of an upcoming episode, and you think something's going to play out a certain way, and then when you watch the actual episode, you
The hook,
realize
line,
that
and sinker.
they misled you with how it was
That's right.
edited, and they do that really frequently. I guess sometimes they'll even change
Make story arcs about it.
They'll change almost a sentence by piecing together different words, and they have a term for it. They call it frankenbiting.
Frankenbiting. And you know what? I don't think that that's exclusive to reality programming. I think that they do that with, just regular sitcoms when they're trying to, do
But don't
like
they
a
just
pre.
write their lines for them, though?
They do write their lines for them, but like they can frankenbite the lines to make it seem like something else happened on the program. Is what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
You're definitely, like, if
Yeah.
it's a fictional one,
Yeah.
you're right. Sometimes they'll, and it's strange. I wonder what, well, again, it's just to draw you in to make you watch
yeah.
it, but
We're suckers, man. We'll take it hook, line, and sinker.
I know.
Truly. Because you get to the point where you're like, okay, they're like screwing with us. This isn't going to actually happen, or it's going to happen in a different way. We know, but like, I don't know. Maybe some other people don't. Not that we're like inferior in intelligence or anything, but it's like, I don't know. I have misgivings about reality programming, and I always have, and I think I always will, to be honest.
I feel like, again, we can only speak for ourselves, but I mean, we're well aware that they do all of this. We know that they try to create the drama. I don't really care.
No.
I mean, I watch fiction knowing it's fiction. Why can't I watch reality TV knowing that there's an element of fiction and still enjoy it?
Yeah, there's definitely that element, but I have a problem when it goes beyond entertainment and just kind of skirts that that border of like just ridicule and just horribleness. Like just. For example, I never watched the show, but the Jersey Shore, they just, everything's in excess on that show. So I hear.
Abercrombie and Fitch actually paid for them not to wear their apparel on that show.
I love
That was something I came across. It was
what?
Yeah.
Why can't I get that? Because there's all kinds of stuff I don't wear.
They paid MTV to say, make sure that nobody on Jersey Shore wears our clothes. We don't want to be associated with your show.
Oh, I love it.
It's kind of like a reverse sponsorship.
I love it though. That makes sense to me. It
I
makes
guess
sense.
they have a certain image, and they didn't feel that Jersey Shore met their image.
It's trashy. And let's be honest. And that's a large reason why we watch reality programming, is to be like a witness to the trash. Let's be honest.
Well, and also maybe
Let's
to
put
be
it
a
out
witness to lifestyles that we aren't normally privy to or engaged in. So Real Housewives, obviously there's a lot of wealth there. So that part is fascinating to me. Just to see people live that lifestyle.
For one thing though, like a large percentage of these women on the program aren't even housewives.
That's true. Well, it came from the show Desperate Housewives.
I know, but
so there was that fictional show, and then this whole Real Housewives franchise evolved, and it started. I think the OC, like Orange County, might have been the original. Sure, someone will correct me if I'm wrong on that.
Well,
Let me know on social media if I'm wrong on the original Real Housewives. But then they came out with franchises for all the different cities, and you're right. The fact that a lot of them really aren't housewives, and I've talked about Bethany Frankel before. She's very much, built her career.
Yeah, her career
through that
she's
whole
one
franchise.
I shouldn't say she's one of the first, but she was one of the ones that I know that you really appreciated how she went from rags to riches, because she really truly did. Like, she built an entire.
Well, I don't think she's
a multi-million-dollar like entrepreneur now.
Oh, absolutely.
Like,
well, and I don't know if she was ever really rags, but she,
she
came
was
from a little bit of wealth, but she
was at the supermarket peddling her
Yeah, you're right. They did on early episodes of the Housewives of New York. She was at Costco doing samples, and then she's
that I kind of
real
appreciate
estate in
seeing
New York
that.
now.
But would you agree though too that most reality programming is set up for a vehicle, as a vehicle for some of the characters on the show to further their career?
Oh yeah,
and they go out of their way to do that on the show, which makes it sort of so transparent and so like plasticky to me. It's just
I appreciate it though when it's a genuine career path or product or like for instance if with Bethany, she was already like a natural food chef. She did a liquor. She did the whole Skinny Girl line. She did the Skinny Margaritas. She really built a genuine, legitimate business. But there are so many people who use their platform as influencers.
Yeah.
And then they're just really, they're just really trying to attract followers on Instagram so that they can get sponsorships that way. And they're not legitimate businesses. They're just sort of using their visibility to promote other products. So I have less respect for that piece of it.
But then you have then you have these
we get
characters.
The toaster ovens.
Then you have these characters though on these reality programming that they're already clearly close to billionaires, and they have like a swimsuit line, and this is their legacy. It's like such a bunch of crap.
I know you're referring to Dorit on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills.
Is that her name? Yeah. Well, her then.
But you know what? Why not? I mean, why wouldn't you do that, right? Why wouldn't you maximize? Some of them are on these shows for a very short period of time. They don't have some of them have a lot of longevity.
The rich are always finding creative and really not so creative ways to spend their money.
It's up to us whether or not we want to buy what they're selling.
It's up to us whether or not we want to watch the show.
That's right. So I don't really have an issue with it. I mean, and even the influencers, again, I have, I guess, a little less respect for influencers versus legitimate businesses that come out of these. But games, everybody's in it to make a dime, and
we know what it is. I mean, and then like we know that there's many different kinds of reality programming because we watch the show called Below Deck, and Below Deck is just these, usually single people going on this like
they're the staff of mega yachts. So there's a regular Below Deck that is set down like in the Caribbean, and actually the most recent one was down in
but those are the kinds of shows
Tahiti, and then they have Below Deck Mediterranean.
Those are the kind of shows that I like to watch because you kind of go on the journey with them. I
learned a lot about boating.
Yeah, you learn a lot about boating,
or yachting, and
you learn like and also with that one Alone, you get to see like what do other people do when they're trying to survive in the woods. What
so
would
Alone
you do?
is on the History Channel where they drop people off in the wilderness to survive on their own.
And whoever does it the longest gets like $1 million or $500,000 or whatever it is, and It's a really interesting show because they have to film all of there's no camera crew with them. It's just they have to film what it is that's happening, and I find it fascinating myself. And same with 60 Days In, like you are with the characters on the show immersed in like the prison system.
Yeah, so let's talk
about the
jail
system.
I mentioned about the appeal of watching some of the housewife franchises because they're living a sort of a lavish lifestyle that we would normally see. 60 Days In again it's a lifestyle that we wouldn't normally see. So maybe what's the?
I guess I like to watch.
Why don't you say the premise of what 60 Days In?
Well, it's just people like who want to know about and change more so than know. Like they want to change the certain aspects of the jail system.
Right. So they're in the Clark County Jail in Jefferson, Indiana, right?
Right.
And they go in for 60 days.
They can be anybody who has had a family member that's been in jail and they want to know what they went through.
But they go in as undercover,
They
right?
go
they're
undercover
not staff,
and they don't know
inmates or anything. They're just...
That's right. You don't like this one. And it's interesting how we both like different reality programming, really. Anyways, so like, there could be like a social worker who's like been working with people who've been in jail forever. and just want to know what it's like for them, and just multiplicity of different reasons. And they usually have a certain thing that they work on while they're there, like how are drugs getting into the jail and whatnot. And I just find it really fascinating how they go about it, because there's not one single person that has gone into jail for like the 60 days and not in one way or another become an inmate, like a full-on inmate. They do things that inmates do because they have to blend in, right? But they have their own mission as well. So it's really fascinating to me how they skirt that balance, Anyway.
No, it's interesting. It's their real life research, right?
Yeah. Exactly. I don't know. I like, and then the same with Alone, or is it Alone?
On the History Channel.
Yeah, on the History Channel. That's a great show too. Like, I feel it hasn't been on in a while, but I think
they did a lot of great seasons. They did one down in Patagonia, but they did a few in Canada, in Vancouver Island.
Vancouver Island, that's right.
On Vancouver Island.
On it, not in it. You don't go in it.
Definitely on Vancouver Island.
Not a tunnel, people.
More secrets of reality TV. One is that they often redo things. This one actually did when I was doing research of secrets of reality TV. That didn't come as a surprise, but shows like The Biggest Loser, when they're doing weigh-ins, they often have to reshoot it multiple times just to get all the different camera angles so that they can string it together later on.
That must be really daunting for the participant if they've gained weight. They have to just keep doing it. You've still gained weight. Oh, you're gaining weight again. Oh, one more time. Let's do it one more time. Anyway,
I mentioned spoilers and them taking phones away in some shows, but there are shows that have actual fines. So it's rumored that Top Chef has a $1 million fine for contestants who give out spoilers through social media or otherwise.
Is actually giving out the fact that it's a $1 million fine a spoiler?
It might be.
Like, I bet you they could be fined $1 million for giving out that spoiler. That's I'm not surprised though. People, like these huge corporations usually are doing these shows, and they want to keep their secrets. Especially Survivor. Can you imagine if someone just like blurted out who won Survivor?
People would just stop watching it, and it's to the competitors. It's in their best interest to keep it a secret. The same way Game of Thrones recently wrapped up, and I'm sure the actors were all on board to keep the outcome a secret.
If not, they're really seriously, their careers would be ruined if they gave out spoilers to that.
Well, and it also they realize less people are going to watch, and then that hurts them as being part of the production as well.
It makes sense all across the board for sure.
So, as I was reading about reality TV, I came across. You've heard of the X Factor. Apparently, there's a show called The Sex Factor. Where they try to find the newest adult film star.
Well, isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Is that hosted by Hustler or?
Well, it doesn't air. Apparently, it's on an adult website. It's not on traditional media for obvious reasons. But if a participant has already performed on camera, it disqualifies them. But because then they're no longer amateurs.
Right, they're professionals.
Yes.
Right.
But they have to get STD testing. And that's actually true for a lot of the different dating-based sites.
That makes sense.
Dating-based, not sites, reality shows.
Yeah.
So whether it's I think it's called Love Island or Paradise Island or even the Bachelor shows, they have to go through STD testing because they know that contestants may potentially be hooking up.
Well, I don't think there's anything in their contract that says they can't, right?
That they can't hook up?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. No, well, I know I watched at least one season of The Bachelorette where she hooked up before the fantasy suites.
Yeah, that's right. I remember that now.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. So, what do you do there? What do you do? What do you do?
You can't stop love.
You can't stop it.
That's the goal of the show.
It's going to happen.
So they also screen candidates for those types of shows, and the general cutoff is if somebody has been dating somebody for 2 months or more, they're considered taken, and so they would not be eligible to be a single person. I'm doing my air quotes here. Single person on one of those shows. So
you mean previous to being on the show, if they dated somebody 2 months before
if they're in a
being on the show?
relationship for 2 months or more, they're not eligible to be on those types of shows. They're considered taken.
Even if that relationship has ended and then they're on to the show?
Well, no, I think it's sort of an ongoing, but they're just casually dating somebody, but it's been 2 months or more, then they're not eligible.
Yeah, well, that's interesting. That makes sense, though. really. I mean, you don't want to have. We've seen many programs where they have like always lamented for a previous relationship when they were on the show, right? So they probably want to avoid that to a degree.
You were talking earlier about research and how 60 Days In is used for research. I read an interesting thing where linguists use Big Brother to see how
Linguists, really?
linguists, so
Yeah.
doing research around language and how it evolves when people are sort of segregated from the population, have actually looked at seasons of Big Brother and done studies on it just to see how
it's a sociological experiment. There is absolutely no question that is what's going on. Like as a viewer, that's why I really like watching a lot of these shows, because you are a participant, sociological experiment, because the study of people in group is sociology, right? So it's like, if you wanted to, anyway, I find it, that aspect of reality programming, I find fascinating.
Well, and Big Brother is unique too because everybody's so cut off from the outside world.
Yeah.
And they generally don't even inform them of major news events. There was the first exception to that rule was actually during 9/11. So when September 11th happened,
what show was
it was one of the first times they broke the rule with Big Brother and let the contestants know about the event taking place, because they probably realized that they would likely be affected somehow, that they may know somebody involved in that terrorist event. So that was one of the first times that they sort of broke the rule. And
I wonder if they have done it since.
Gave them news of the outside world. I don't know the answer to that.
Well, you'll have to do some research, and we'll have to do it in part 3. Hope you're enjoying the podcast this evening, everybody.
A lot of people are in lockdown on these shows too. So Big Brother, they're segregated, but even shows like Survivor, once they're voted off the island, they'll put the contestants in hotels and sort of keep them there. Yep. And it's almost like being in prison, some of the contestants have said, because they won't let them back out into the outside world to make sure that nobody knows who won. That's the same as 60 Days In. That's the same as 60 Days In. They put them in a hotel. If they compromise, which has happened, if they compromise everything and they have to be taken out, they're put in a hotel until it's over, until everybody's out. Which is interesting, eh? Yeah. A lot of these shows won't allow people to sing or even quote movies because they don't want to pay royalties.
That makes sense too. Right.
So they'll cut out footage if people start to break out into song.
Hence why you see like a lot of blurred T-shirts as well, or paintings on the wall. That happens a lot in reality programming because they just don't have the licensing to show it, right? If there's like a Starry Night painting on the wall, well, it's completely blurred.
Yeah, you're right. And some of I find the lower cost productions seem to have more things blurred out because they can't pay for them. So a few more quick ones. Phil from Duck Dynasty said that he noticed they actually add extra beeps into the footage. So when you're watching Duck Dynasty, they add beeps to make it sound like their family was cursing. So, but he said, he goes, I know during that, when we had that conversation, we actually weren't cursing as much as they made it.
Oh, the old curse
the old bleeping out.
That is hilarious.
Product placement. We know about product placement in a lot of shows, but some shows or cities actually pay money just to have shows filmed there. So New Orleans paid $375,000 just to have Top Chef film there because they knew it would be so good for tourism.
And that's a perfect business model for a show like Amazing Race, because they go all over the world and people want them to go there to do the show, so they will probably give them money and like free accommodations and free flights and everything to go there. So it makes sense.
One last thing as we're sort of wrapping up. I came across this concept of a show, which they started filming and they had to cut for obvious reasons. It was called Who's Your Daddy? It's the concept of Bachelorette, where they sort of line up eligible bachelors for a woman, but among them is one of the people is the woman's estranged father.
Oh my God. No wonder they canceled that one. Although we would have watched it.
I know. Part of me, I would have watched it for sure.
So the moral of this whole podcast is drop the guilt.
Drop the guilt. It's so much fun.
Find
it's fun
out
to
who
talk
your daddy
about.
is.
We mentioned a lot of different shows. Check them out. It would waste 5 minutes, see if you like it, and if you don't, move on. But
we never really covered this, but a lot of reality programming is extremely just for an escape. An escape from whatever it is that dogs you that week.
It's entertainment. We all have different sources of entertainment. So if reality TV is one of your sources, enjoy.
Yeah, enjoy.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening, everybody, and tune in for the next podcast of InfoQuench.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks for listening.
Be sure to visit InfoQuench.com to subscribe and catch up on past episodes.
You can also check out InfoQuench on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Till next time.